Are you president of Dutch Brothers?
I'd be called CEO of Spokane Dutch Bros.
Oh, okay. So my name is Qatar Johnson Jones, and welcome to Community Solutions Magazine and Podcast. And today I am interviewing Kevin Parker, CEO of Spokane Dutch Bros. So if you have been drinking Dutch Bros, this is the place to go. You know how creamy and smooth their coffees are. Shameless plugger there. But we'll get to the business. Martin Luther King talked a lot about beloved community. And when we think about beloved community, what does it mean to you?
I think a lot of that is a community is a place people can grow, a place that can belong, a place where they feel safe, a place where everyone's welcome, and a place that can serve as a springboard into something more. Because everyone has an individual voice, that becomes part of the community. It also becomes a separate part of the community.
Thank you for sharing. That is really insightful. I completely agree. And I have this quote, community is the place where everyone belongs. And so when I think about beloved community, I'm thinking, how do we create a space where everyone belongs? And it doesn't mean that we have to agree on every subject. It doesn't mean that, everybody has the same things, but it does mean that we all have a place. Our voice matters. What we do matters. How we live matters. And I think COVID really helped a lot of us because we learned that we're only as healthy as the least healthy in our community. And so when we think of it in that context, our survival depends on everyone else around us. And so it was interesting how COVID really enlightened me in that regard. So now we look at where people are looking at health differently. And so I guess the next question I would have is when we think about our community and we think about unity, there is a quote that Martin Luther King shared about fear. People do not like going outside of their norm in the groups that they feel comfortable with because of fear. And he said basically that fear, holds us from really getting to the place where we need to be as a community. What are your thoughts on that?
I love his quote. I think people by nature want three things: direction, protection, and order. And another term for that is a status quo. And so I think that when that's disruptive, it causes fear. And people want change. At one point, I'd have to redo this research, but at one point, the two most sold books in America was a diet cookbook or a diet book and a cookbook. So you can't tell me Americans don't want change. Americans want change, but it's the fear that can hold that back. So when we look to why do people change and why people they don't, it comes down, I think part of it comes down to direction, protection, and order, because then you're letting go of what you know in order to reach for something that you're learning. And that's a profound cognitive move for anybody.
That is so true. And I think that's why people are so resistant to change, because my comfort is what I know.
Yes.
These are the people I know. These are the people I trust. And those people over there, I don't know them. I don't know what they're capable of. But if we challenged ourselves with a growth mindset to say, I want to get to know you. And even though the way you do things may not align with the way I do things, you still matter. Your voice still matters. And I think some of the challenges in our society today is being able to truly recognize it's always I'm not heard, or I need to be heard, or my community needs to be seen. And when we think about it, all communities need to be heard. All communities need to be seen. And how do we make that equitable? I think about that all the time. It's just like, me, me, me. America has this rugged individualism. But when we think about the community concept, it's looking out for the other person.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Well, a lot of that comes from like Emerson's work, right? And when Emerson talked about rugged individualism, it was individualism that would actually participate in a larger community context. And so now we interpret that as, I think you're right, we look at individualism as a silo. That's not what Emerson meant. Emerson meant you have a contribution to make, and you can do that individually, but it does fit into a larger community. So I think it's moving the idea of individual from a silo to you're part of a larger community.
That is also profound. If you could tell our viewers any one thing that you want them to take away from listening to what you have to say today, what would it be? look at them and tell the viewers what your parting words of wisdom when it comes to Martin Luther King's dream of and his support of the philosophy of beloved community. What would you tell people in our community?
I think it's this, that no matter how many experiences we have, no matter how many scars we have, no matter how many countries we've visited, no matter how many people of diverse backgrounds we know, our worldview is always incomplete. And so we're always learning and we're always growing, but we will never have a complete worldview. And I think that's really important to realize that we should always be learning more about the world, learning more about people. We are always working from an incomplete viewpoint.
That is a great parting note. So thank you all for listening. My name is Katara Johnson-Jones, and this is the one and only Kevin Parker, CEO of Spokane Dutch Bros.